Your Fortnite map has 60 seconds before a kid decides to quit. This is how you hook. So most creators, they lose him in that window and they never know why. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to hook him in those first few seconds so he stays for an hour instead of leaving in 1 minute. So let's do all of it. I don't care. Let's get into it. Right. So first, we've got the problem, okay? Here's the whole problem in one sentence. So the first 5 minutes of your entire game, decide if a kid stays or quits. And this is all that matters because your game is a funnel basically, right? You've got the people coming in at the start here, and you've got your first 1 to 5 minutes, and then you've got your core game loop, and then you've got your shop that they finally reach, so that's where you start monetizing them, etc., etc. If they fall off in the first 1 to 5 minutes, they'll never even reach any of it, right? Let alone your shop for that extra revenue. So they won't make it further. So this is the most important thing for your game, is retaining it. So let's get into it. Like I said, the first 5 minutes, 1 to 5 minutes, decide if a kid stays or quits. So that's it. There's nothing more to it. So confused, waiting, bored, he's gone. So your goal is simple to say and hard to do. You've got a chart in your Fortnite dashboard of your player retention the first few minutes, and it shows usually a graph like this, where in the first minutes of your game, you've got about, they also just add a bounce rate in your dashboard so you can check that out. But you've got probably around 50% of people leaving in. And for my games, for example, what some maps have is this. So it goes up and then it goes down, right? So that's first where you want to get to. And from there, what your goal then is to make this as flat as possible, because this is the longevity of the game, 90 plus minutes. You get it up in the first, you retain the first people. Yes, obviously some might still bounce, but you want to get this as flat as possible for that extra long playtime, because again, these players at the end here will still push up your overall playtime, right? So players join, they stay, and you go from this like cliff going downward to something kind of going up and then going flat. That's what you want it to look like. And I won't lie to you, this is not easy. This is what I had to build for one of my tycoon, for example, to keep players in. So I sat in Excel for hours, days, maybe even, trying to build a staircase formula that it looked something like this. Obviously, this is from my $1 million maps training, which is completely free, by the way. But we had to build a staircase formula that looks something like this. So a player gets a spike from buying a bunch of tycoon buttons, and then it flattens out. So it keeps giving them, another spike and flattening out, another spike and flattening out. And that up and down is what holds him in a flow state, right? So hold that thought. We're going to come back. But how do we actually fix this? Because that's what you obviously want to know. So it's 4 parts mainly. 1, the hook. 2, the quick win. 3, the loop. And then 4, the emotion. So let's get into that. So the hook. When a kid joins your game for the first time, there's 3 things that have to happen really quickly. And that is action, reward, and satisfaction, okay? All in under 30 seconds. Not a minute, 30 seconds max. So the second Timmy spawns in, he should instantly know, little light bulb, what to do. And look, kids, they're not the brightest, okay? So scrap that light bulb. They don't always know what's going on. They're kind of confused. So use everything you can, right? So arrows, lighting, sounds, anything that screams go here and do X. So a kid's brain can only hold, about like maybe 4 things at once. So if you load into a Fortnite map right now, you've got you've got your currency here, money, gold, gems, and then you've got custom inventory, Fortnite inventory, maybe even you've got a tutorial pop up over here. Maybe there's a shop placed down, V-Bucks shop placed down here, and they've got an arrow going towards the tutorial. Do this step 1, and maybe you've got a leaderboard up there. So there's a bunch of stuff going on, which is just horrible because his brain goes, this is too much. And that feeling is the moment he leaves. So the fix isn't more, it's less. And it's usually not even less. It's mainly what I prefer doing is one clear thing on the screen first. So if we look at Steal the Brain Rot, what they do, for example, is when you load into the game, they kind of hide everything. There's not much UI going on. The first thing you see when you load in is a simple tutorial, and it's just like get Tim cheese. So it's that stupid. You gotta act like your kids are just cavemen. All right, get Tim cheese. They see a line of conveyors. They see a conveyor line of brain rots walking around. And they've got an arrow going towards Tim Cheese, and they're like, okay, get Tim Cheese. They get Tim Cheese, and the next step is bring to base. And then where does the arrow go? Oh, this is my base. goes to the base. So you want to just keep it so simple. You have to understand that the people you're dealing with here just act like they have no brain cells. And you just want to get him moving. So get him pressing something or get him collecting something, get him doing anything. Never let him stand still. Because standing still is death. That's when you lose him as well. We get into the action instantly. And the second he takes this action and does what you want him to do, you reward him, right? So in this case, for example, in Fortnite, you can add XP pop-ups, which Roblox doesn't have, for example. You can add sounds and flashes, pop-ups, animations. So you've probably all seen this in PetSimX, for some of you that don't know. So that's why, for example, in PetSimX, when you load in, you join and there's, you start playing and there's explosions flying around, rewards. It's not random, it's dopamine. It's all on purpose because even casinos do this all the time. Even when you win, like, for example, 1 cent, you've always got some type of feeling of a reward. So they're not going to make you think, okay, 1 cent is actually nothing. They're still going to make you think, oh, you just got something. But how they do this very smart is, once you've got, for example, 10 cents, the reward's bigger. And then $100, the reward's massive. But there's always that reward, the sounds, the effects, the flashing, all this stuff, it happens all the time, even if the reward is not good. But it just makes you feel like you're progressing. And the trick that PetSimX does, for example, is they've actually hired people from casinos to work on their game to maximize this feeling. And here's a dead simple one almost every Roblox game does, and I've barely seen on UEFN. It's a daily reward pop-up. So the second you load in, it's one tap to claim the reward. So that's the entire formula in one pop-up. So this is, obviously, if you play any Roblox game, this is what they do. It gets them clicking, it gives them a reward, and it makes him feel like he did something big. That's the hook, and that's why it worked. So we covered how to hook them. Now, quick win. We need to retain them, right? So 2, win. So now that he's hooked, you've got around 30 seconds to make him feel progress, okay? So he needs a second win. So tutorial completed, an area unlocked, a lot of tycoon buttons bought, like the staircase system I showed you. Because one reward, this is a gift, there we go. One reward felt big, but now he needs a few more fast, so his brain says, this is fun, I'm getting somewhere. So this is our hook, okay? And then now he needs to feel progress, so we give him a bunch more, right? So he loads in the game, he's hooked, he stayed. Okay, now I want to start making some progress. I just load into this game. I want to become the best player, for example, right? So he needs to think, in this part, this is fun, I'm getting somewhere. So you make him feel progress by convincing him that his dream outcome is possible in the shortest time with the least effort. So that's a formula, right? Every second you make the dream feel closer and easier, the value of your game goes up in his head. So make it feel far away or very grindy, and the value, it just crashes. So that's the whole game of the first minute. So whether he wants to become rich or he wants to become the best player in the game, what you need to do is you need to convince him that it's possible for him, right? He can already see the leaderboard with all these players on it and they've already become rich. Cool, doesn't matter. Can I become? So let's take 2 tycoons, for example, okay? Here's Tycoon 1 and here's Tycoon 2. So the first one your opening upgrade costs like a lot of money, okay? You just spawn in with $0 and your first upgrade costs $1,000, and you're grinding 5 to 10 minutes to buy this first button. So the dream, it feels very far away, it feels slow and painful, so the value tanks down and the kid's already gone in the first second. And Tycoon 2, for example, you just bought 5 buttons in the first minute, each one like bumping your income because it shows every time you buy a button plus $1 per second plus $5 per second. So he's getting rewarded, he's getting a lot of buttons he can buy. He's like, wait, if I keep up like this, I'm going to be printing millions per second soon. So that's the same exact dream, but now it feels close, fast, and effortless, so the value goes through the roof, so he stayed. That's exactly why we had this formula for the tycoons, so he stays hooked. And that's all secret behind Grow a Garden, for example, because your garden, it keeps growing offline. So that's very smart for retaining players. But besides that, the dream, so a massive rare garden, it feels achievable with almost no effort because it happens while you're offline. So you can literally log in and your dream is achieved. So that's the bottom equation, time and effort crushed to nearly nothing. So the value goes up and the kid can't stop checking back and loading into your game. So number 3, we got the loop. The loop is simple. So ask yourself one question. What can a player do again and again that feels good? That's your loop. And I'm begging you, please, because I see this so much, keep it simple. Building a tycoon, spending months on it. I made 100 features. I thought more features is more gameplay, is more hook. But this is not how that works, right? Take a very big open world map. Most complex thing to build, right? With all the leveling and bosses. in Fortnite, the top games, for example, you have B Tycoon, right? Which has done really good. This is just one of his maps, by the way. I mean, this has been stable for quite some time, but he just, he remade this in different genres, in different niches. And he's just been farming this, to be honest. But if you look at his gameplay, what you'll notice is it's so simple. I mean, obviously, if it loads here, yeah, that's all it is. Okay, it's mining and upgrading. So you mine resources, you upgrade, and you mine some more. That's it. So your goal isn't more features. Your goal is to put a kid in a flow state so he loses track of time. So all his maps, for example, look at this playtime, guys. 130 minutes. This is the highest you'll see, 120. Right, obviously these two will probably be before his big success, but 120, 130, and 120. And besides that, the other top games like Steal the Brain Rot, I mean, these guys are printing, by the way, this is inaccurate. This is probably 4 or 5 times that, especially this underplaying retention. So this is probably 60 mil from just retention alone, and then you can double that because of monetization. So this could well over be 100 million for sure. And their loop is just as simple. It's so simple. You gotta stop overcomplicating it. Like, think about how simple Steal the Brain Rot actually is. It doesn't need to be more than that, right? You don't need 10 different features fighting for attention. You need one a kid can put down. One good loop beats 100 half-baked systems every time. One feature is enough. Steal the brain rots, okay? Mine the resources. So here's the last piece. Number 4, we need to hold them. So we need to control their emotion. And it's something that nobody talks about. So players, they leave the game once emotions drop. So before this drop happens, you spike their energy. A new goal, a challenge, a reward, an event, anything at all. Roblox games, Roblox games and even Fortnite games now do this really well with the Brainward games. They have like hacker event, disco event, all that stuff, admin abuse, right? If you can control this guy's emotion, you can control his retention, because retention isn't an accident. It's you watching for the exact moment that this drop happens, the fun dips, and then you spike it back up before he feels it. So it dips, and then you spike it back up. So you need to find this. And retention, it isn't a dirty trick. Like, think about it. You build your game for people to have fun. He wants to have fun. He's here knowing he's gonna get dopamine. So dopamine is bad. It's kind of nonsense in some way, because he's coming in here for that reason, right? All you're doing is noticing when a player stops having fun and fixing it before he leaves. Because here's the truth. There's no such thing as too long, only too boring. People binge watch Netflix for 8 hours per day, okay? They watch an hour of Mr. Beast. They scroll on TikTok for hours every single day. Attention is not the problem, okay? Boring is. Your map can hit 90 minutes playtime. It can hit 120 minutes of playtime. I'm telling you, you can do way better than you're doing right now. So, to recap everything, 1, the problem is the first 5 minutes decides if they stay or quit. So you need to flatten, like this a bit, flatten the drop-off line, okay? 2, hook. You've got action plus reward within 30 seconds. So, one clear thing, never let them stand still. We talked about this with the brain rot tutorial, find Tim Cheese. One main thing, okay? 3, the quick win. So, we did the first hook, that's the first win. Then we did the second win with the gifts, okay? Give him more wins fast. Boom, 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 boom. These are gift boxes. I don't know, they don't look like it, but they are. So, make the dream feel close and easy. That's the value equation that we talked about somewhere in this mess, all right? And then 4, the loop. So one simple thing repeated. Mine, upgrade, mine. And then 5 is we want to hold them. So spike their emotions before it drops so that they enter flow state. So to summarize everything in one sentence, I would say flatten that line. That's the whole game. And by the way, guys, if you want me to review your map for free and tell you exactly what I would fix to make you more money instantly, then just join our Discord, discord.gg/mapmastery. Click on my name and DM me map, and I'll take a look at it.